all right? And then how we handle questions. So how you handle topics, right, really relates to how you study and ultimately how you write, okay? But when I talk about questions, I'm talking about answering techniques, okay? So if I start with how do we answer questions, okay, there are a few things you must know, all right? And you'll probably see how this can help you see why you lost marks, okay, in your promos also. So the first thing is how we answer questions. We always try to pick out the dartboard. Okay, we'll try to find the dartboard and we will split the dartboard. This skill, sometimes doing well in the exam, it's not about I have to study that much more, I have to write a lot more, but remember some of these small little tricks, alright? So when I say find the dartboard and split the dartboard, remember, if a question is asking you for the impact of A on B, B is your dartboard, whereas A is the dart. Do not chase the dart, right? You're going to find the dartboard and you have to split the dartboard. Okay? Why? You want to see the scope in your question. Okay, the scope of your question. Okay? Second, in terms of answering techniques, if you are looking at part A of an essay versus part B, okay? So what should be very clear is that part B, you are trying to fight for a level 3 answer and you're trying to get evaluation. Okay? So part A is BCC plus E. Sorry, part B. Part A does not have balance. It doesn't have evaluation credit. Unless the question wants you to explain whether. Okay, I've seen these kind of questions before. Explain whether high economic growth is always a cause for celebration, or explain whether high economic growth is always a cause of concern. So you have to say these are the benefits, but these are the drawbacks. So in a way, you're introducing balance or two sides to your answer. They are quite rare, but they do appear. Okay, especially when you move on to the last chapter, market structure. They keep asking you to explain whether, all right? So that will come in also. So you will need two sides. You need balance, but there's no need for evaluation. Simply because you don't get marks for that, don't bother with that, okay? Okay, so if I'm looking at BCC and evaluation, again, please check your promo scripts. How many marks do you get for evaluation? Okay, in every essay there are 5 marks. In every case study there are also 5 marks. The 8-mark question is actually 6 plus 2. 10-mark question, 7 plus 3, right? So in both cases, there are evaluation marks to be harvested, okay? Evaluation happens along these 2 lines. Synthesis, and when you challenge your analysis. Okay, so I'm standing here telling you these are the things. Next year, before A-levels, I'll stand here and tell you the same things. Okay, and then you shouldn't say, wow, econ is so boring, it's always the same thing. It's a cause for celebration also, and it's the same set of skills that get you through the whole syllabus. Okay? So by going through these things, we try to put a little bit of the science back into econs. Okay? So when you write your synthesis, I said before, this is also known as a conclusion, but I think the third name is the most indicative. It's known as a stand. Okay? So what do you mean by a stand? Alright? A stand means that you need to be very clear. You cannot sit on the fence. So how do you come up with a stand? Try to use words like most significant to force out a stand. So if they ask you, discuss whether taxes are appropriate in dealing with market failure, or discuss the most appropriate policies, you shouldn't say overall a combination of policy is best. That's not a stand. Among the policies, you need to pull out one and say this is the most significant or the most effective. Okay? So try to use this. Or if they ask you to discuss whether unemployment is more likely due to domestic or external factors. Alright? You shouldn't say, oh, unemployment is due to a combination of factors. That's not a stand. That's not standing. The verb is different. That's sitting on the fence, right? So you should say, oh, unemployment is most significantly or most likely due to internal factors or external factors. But I know how it feels, very scary. You give two sides and then you have to stand on one side and support one side. It's very scary. Okay? Some of you will know this side of yourself when you do project work. Huh? You're always trying to please everyone. Oh, you're right. Oh, you're also right. Okay? No. When it comes to writing or synthesis, you need to have a clear stand. So how? You try and split your stand along certain lines. The lines here are known as your context. So you could say, oh, in the project work setting, two of them are in a conflict. You can say, you are right insofar as this part is concerned. However, with regard to maybe the OP, this person has a valid point. Okay, so you are not saying overall you are right in every aspect. So how do you split along certain lines? Okay, I will show you two convenient ones. The first one is based on the time horizon. And your school will probably tell you, oh, you can think about what happens in the long run versus what happens in the short run. And I agree, I think that's a valid point. Okay, so you could say, in the short run, taxes are most appropriate in dealing with the problem of smoking. In the long run, campaigns are more sustainable. See where I'm coming from? Okay, that two perspectives is really tied to your time horizon. Or, for macroecons, you can tie the context according to nature of the economy. Okay? So when you tie it to the nature of the economy, that means you could say, unemployment in countries like Singapore are more likely due to external factors. But in a country like US or China, it's most likely due to internal factors. Later I'll run through this thing with you, alright? Then you can see that the same rule applies. Are we okay? Okay, so the first thing, I'll even put a highlight here, okay? Most significant. Even if you make it your mission in December to be an expert in evaluation, I can tell you that will make meaningful progress for your exams next year already, especially if you're not scoring in evaluation. Okay? So the new mark scheme has 5 marks for evaluation. That's to help students use it. Alright, okay, next one. So challenging your analysis. Okay, how do you challenge your analysis? There are certain ways to challenge. If you are talking about demand and supply, if you are talking about market failure, to a certain extent, if you talk about national income, standards of living, they are pretty standard ways. Okay, how? DDSS, we always say, hey, look, ceteris paribus may not hold. There could be other factors at work. Okay. Then under market failure, we like to say the government can help, but the government can fail. Government failure can occur. Okay. So that's another way of crafting your evaluation. You challenge your synthesis. Okay. How about national income? Okay, if you're talking about standards of living, I'd like to say not every country, okay, regards material and non-material standards of living with the same level of importance. This is actually a fundamental challenge. Why? In the notes, we always learn, material standards are important, non-material standards are also important. There isn't any sense of which one is more important. So this point is useful. You could say, developing countries, like Myanmar, they need to make sure they have food on the table. Material is more important. You talk to them about work-life balance, they'll talk to you about the 3 meals. Okay? So that's one thing. But if you're talking about developed, like Singapore, I think now we are looking more at non-material standards. Right? Non-material standards like do we have enough work-life balance, right? Do we have enough light pollution, or are we able to look out and see the stars at night and get some inspiration from there? So some things that we talk about, you won't see them being featured in